Okay, morning everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Gitonga, Gigi, her firstborn and one and only son. By introduction, this is my sister, Gina Gitonga Evans, my brother-in-law, Tyda, my goddaughter and niece, the future part of my mom, of blessed memory, Malaika Evans. We live in the United States, in the great states of Massachusetts and Connecticut, just about an hour and a half away from each other. When Mom passed away on Sunday, and Dad made the difficult call, I remember thinking of about 3 things that flashed before my eyes, and I'll reflect on them very briefly because I've been asked not to talk too long. Dad called and I immediately grabbed my rosary, just by instinct, because that was the first thing Mom always packed for me wherever I went around the world. And I flew a lot like Mom. I thought of the reading today, and I was reading from Wisdom, the book of Wisdom, and some people know, a lot of people do not know, that the root cause of wisdom begins with the fear of God. Mom was a strong Catholic. When I even thought of entertaining any other faith except the Catholic faith, she reminded me of what it was, and she always said, remain Catholic, be a good Catholic. So that was instinctively the first thing that I grabbed. And then I remembered former priest, the head priest, Father George Wambua, saying at a sermon, a very brief sermon, those are always the best, where he said, if you can describe, you ought not to be able to describe how much you love your father and your mother. The second you do, if there's a problem, it's indescribable. So I've never even made an attempt to. I just flashed over the lessons that she taught me. Remain faithful, protect the faith, and she was very strong, independent, a very tough mother. She made a ton of visits, most of them at the nth hour, to visit us, to visit her grandchild, and that exemplified the fierce loyalty in her. No matter the cost, no matter the length of time, she would just show up in New York, say, I'm here, let's visit. So she was committed, faithfully, went by the mantra, never complain, never explain, fulfilled obligations. She never had to explain to each of us what we had to do. She just acted it out, and she expected us to follow to the letter. And by God, if we did not do it, there were several epithets thrown around, and it's probably the reason, as of principle, I never swear, because I had enough coming at me as a child. So that was Mom, very strong, independent, fierce loyalty to her family, to the faith, and there was much discretion at home, and she was very, very concerned about us fulfilling our obligations, both professionally and personally. There was a never quit attitude. I remember, and I'll say this finally, when I enlisted in the military as a reservist, her only concern was that I was walking away from the corporate life that I'd worked so hard to build. And I said, no, Mom, that's exactly why I'm a reservist and I'm not active, so that I can balance both lives. And she said, fine, then I have no other issue. Serve your country, do it well, and go as far as you can. And so that was my mom. That was her to both Gina and I, an in-law to my brother-in-law, Tyda, and this little one, my goddaughter, stubborn, really strong-headed, spitting image of Mom, and we insisted on bringing her. And I remember Dad
referred to me as your baby, and you were everything I could have asked for in a godmother. Popsy is a unique name that speaks testament to the one-of-a-kind person you were. You were small, but you were mighty. Your love was fierce and everlasting. Family meant everything, and you were the first to show up to celebrate the good times and the first to offer a warm hug in the bad. You were beautifully vibrant, full of life, and family meant everything to you, and you were the first to show up to celebrate the good times and the first to offer everything else. May you always walk in sunshine and serene rivers around you flow. For the love you gave us, no one will ever know. It breaks our hearts to lose you, but you did not go alone. A part of us went with you the day God called you home. 1,000,000 times we will need you, 1,000,000 tears we will cry. If only love could save you, but in our hearts you will never die. May the Lord wrap his arms around you and welcome you into his paradise. When you arrive at this gate, all my love always, Domsy. Thank you, Domsy. This one's a little shorter. From Jermaine, Theo, Kai, and Lani. To our local auntie Pops, local but so lovable. Once again, our hearts are broken, minds frozen. It truly was not your time to, but we have to continue to accept God's will and his plan. Thank you for the laughs, the chats, the love and support you have given us, for always believing in us. All through you, you never wavered on us. And for that, Papas, we will love you into forever. And so, as any other angel gains their wings, we say rest peacefully, Auntie Pops. Until we meet again, our love always. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gigi, Gina, Tai, and Malaika. It was God's wish to take away Popsy on Mother's Day, and I suppose we can look at this as a gift. And what an amazing mother she was. As you all know, Popsy was well known and loved in the tourism and hospitality industry. To pay tribute to her work, please welcome her business partner at Naked Wilderness, Mr. Fred Lundy.
Popsy, former president and first lady, and all distinguished guests, good afternoon. I hope I'll do this because it is difficult and very painful for me to be standing before Popsy. Okay, let me just read the tribute that we've written as a company. We stand here with great sadness over the unimaginable and unbearable loss of our close friend, our boss, and our business partner. To us, Nilima and I, and I'm sorry Nilima is unwell, but she has managed to come back to the room. No words can describe her spirit, really. Our journey with Popsy, for both Nilima and I, started more than 30 years ago. First, as a working colleague at UST, we moved to Vintage Africa before we ventured out to start our own business, that is Naked Wilderness, in the year 2002. When we finally agreed to incorporate our company, we spent many days deliberating on the ideal name for the company. We could not agree at an appropriate name to go with the safari company that we wanted to start. Popsy came back one evening and cheekily coined the company Naked Wilderness Africa, for which Nilima and I instantly rejected. I mean, you are asking, How are we going to go to the marketplace with such a name? People are going to mistake us. It is unimaginable on this side of the world. But she had a very strong conviction about this name that we finally had to register it. And to date, we don't regret. The reason for her naming this company, Naked Wilderness, is because she asked us, don't you guys have a passion for selling Africa in its raw beauty? What are you going to sugarcoat? We want to sell Africa in its raw beauty. After the company was duly formed, Popsy took over the marketing position, a role that she passionately executed with zeal, and this opened many doors for our company. Many in the tourism fraternity associated Naked Wilderness with Popsy. Of course, two of us remained in the background, and most of the work. On many of her trips overseas, whether she was gone to see her kids in the USA or was on a family holiday overseas, she would return with valuable business contacts. To her, every opportunity of getting business to Naked Wilderness is what mattered. I remember very well at one point, we were in South Africa and we were having our break, and Popsy quickly dashed to the washroom with her business card. I asked her what she was going to do. She only came back smiling because she told me there's an agent that I have been chasing for many years, and I saw her going to the washroom. And today I can confirm, without naming that agent, that that agent is still our client. In 2012, when Etihad launched its passenger flights to Nairobi, Popsy arranged a holiday for 3 of us. We were meant to visit Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And we were very happy because we thought it was a fun trip. To our amazement, when we landed in Abu Dhabi, each of us was handed an appointment schedule that she had arranged to meet clients. What we thought was a fun trip really ended as a working trip. Those in the tourism fraternity today, and those who may have traveled on trade shows, will attest to her passion of the tourism industry in Kenya and across East Africa. Her dedication, enthusiasm, flair for style was inspiring, and she will be greatly missed by those in the industry. In our office, despite being a director, Popsy was modest. She was not reluctant to make her own tea or coffee. There are jokes in the office. The samosas that each one of us got on our birthdays, and the nicknames for every staff in the office. Indeed, she was one who glued us together. Popsy wonderfully loved her family and highly talked about them at every moment that presented itself. The family was never far from her thoughts in everything that she did. I must state here that coincidentally, both Gina and Glenn share the same birth dates as my two firstborn kids, my first and second-born kids. And from that day when Pops realized this, I have never bought a birthday cake for my two kids. Pops, you have left a big void in our company that no one can fill. We are still asking God why this has happened. But again, we remember that we must stay strong to continue what you started and steer the company to greater heights, because this was our dream, and not many people leave behind such a legacy and dedication of accomplishment. It was a privilege for us to have been part of your life, your vision, and the life well lived. You will remain in our hearts and memories. We wish you farewell in your journey to eternity until we meet again. And to Alfie, Gina, Gigi, Tai, and Malaika, you will always remain part of our family at Naked Wilderness. So I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate her life. And we received so many messages of encouragement. And I just wanted to read two tributes from two of our clients that say that they must be read today. Okay, the first one is from a company called Giltage Africa, and this was written by the CEO, Mr. Murray Gardner. Popsy departed from this world, leaving behind a void that can never be filled. Her sudden absence will be deeply felt by her beloved colleagues and business partner, Nilima and Fred, who have lost a cherished friend and an invaluable source of inspiration. Popsy was vibrant, helpful, stellar icon for travel industry. With her wit, charm, kindness, and beauty, she brought love, positive energy to everything that she did. Despite her small stature, Popsy possessed a larger-than-life personality that captivated all who knew her. There was undeniable presence about her, and she carried herself with elegance, grace, leaving a lasting impression on everyone that she encountered. Her wealth of knowledge was always at service to those around her, and she eagerly assisted others, sharing her expertise generously. Popsy's passion was the driving force behind her every demeanor. Whether it was about travel in East Africa or any other aspect of life, she approached it with unwavering commitment and care. She was beautiful inside and out, radiating warmth, compassion towards others. Popsy's kindness and bubbly nature were infectious, brightening the lives of fortune enough to cross her paths, of those who crossed her path. She was a strong and fiercely loved woman, a true matriarch in her own right. Her magnetic personality exuded positivity and animated energy, making her a force to be reckoned with. In remembering Popsy, let us celebrate the incredible legacy that she leaves behind, her contribution to the travel industry, her dedication to her colleagues and partners, and her unwavering passion for life forever to be etched in her heart. May her soul find eternal peace, and may her spirit continue to inspire us all. As we bid good farewell to our dear Popsy, let us treasure the memories we shared, the laughter we enjoyed, the lessons she taught us, and her light will continue to shine through the lives she touched, reminding us to embrace life with the same passion and love that she exemplified. Rest in peace, Popsy. You will be profoundly missed, but never forgotten. Sorry, just bear with me the last one. This is from Alan Brown, whom we have worked with for so many years, from UST time. And his company, DM Africa, wrote the following. Dear Popsy, colleagues, sister, friend. Some of us have been on safari with you for over 30 years, a safari from UST to Naked Wilderness and DM Africa. You have always been the entertainer, the comedian, the actress, the film star. You are one of those unique people who can claim to be a global character, with a foot on the map from Angola to Zimbabwe. How we shall miss those bubbly interruptions to the Skype calls we had with your soulmate Nilima. How we shall all miss you totally as an integral part of our lives and off the field. But this is not kwaheri, merely tutaonana baadaye, so keep the chicken wings warm. Safari njema. Thank you all.
Thank you, Fred. Sorry, I'm looking at my watch because we have a time constraint with regard to the cremation. Our next speakers are two of Popsy's most cherished friends. Please welcome Desta Lako, a friend from when Popsy lived in New York. And she will be followed by Popsy's BFF, Althea McCourt, who Popsy sometimes referred to as her sidekick.
Former President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and First Lady Margaret, dignitaries, most importantly, the families and friends of Popsy. Many of you may not know this, but Popsy had a posse in New York, actually in the US, spanning the continent from New York and New Jersey on the East Coast to California on the West Coast. Strong women like her who embraced her as one of their own. Her sisters in the US have known her since the mid-'80s when Popsy and Alfie first started dating in Amherst, Massachusetts. Alfie, I'm sure you realized then that you struck gold. Just look at how your lives have flourished, how you have created a beautiful family, raised kind and capable children, and fostered a network of friends with whom you fully enjoy life. Over the next almost 40 years, Popsy's tribe in the US grew, first with Sofia Yasu and Lily Mulatu at Amherst, and then growing rapidly to include Mulu Alamayo in California, Hannah and Azeb Talahun, and my sister Hebret and I in New York. When Popsy used to come to the US, it was Sophie's place. That was the second home to her and her children. It was a unique sisterhood which grew over the years to include friends and family, including Tirsit and Rahel Yasu, Donna Smiley, Marcia Gambles. This amazing woman became part of the extended. For those of you who know us, friendship is forever. And once you're in, it's hard to get out. You become family, and that's what Popsy was to all of us. Sophie was the first to visit Kenya with her late husband, Fred Jenkins, her twin boys, and mother. She speaks of this magical trip to Kenya to this day, describing how Popsy and Alfie hosted them like royalty. A truly unforgettable experience. Masai Mara, balloon safari, a breathtaking coastal trip, an itinerary perfectly planned with attention to every detail, and infused quality, because that's how Popsy rolled. The family never forgot this experience, and as we all made our way to Kenya, we too experienced the same welcome and hospitality. Not only was Popsy there for the good times, but she was always there as a first responder to urgent situations. She was the go-to person jumping in to help everyone, even those she didn't know. We relied on her to intervene on behalf of the many relatives escaping war-torn Eritrea and Ethiopia, seeking refuge or having medical emergencies in Kenya. Her unrelenting determination to make it a better world for those most in need and the fierce love and goodness that she extended to us was in her DNA. Popsy is one of the strongest women we know. You heard it here today. She never shied away from challenges. She always found a way to overcome them, no matter how many oceans or continents she had to cross. We shared so many life experiences raising our kids, getting them through school, taking care of our loved ones, and sharing our sorrows when we lost them. She never ran away from crisis. She ran towards it. We admire and appreciate her fierce and unrelenting loyalty to friends and family. Just as everyone counted on her, she, in turn, knew she could count on us. She was one of a kind, she was a powerhouse to be reckoned with, and she did not suffer fools too well. When Popsy gave her attention to something, it was with her entire being. Nothing escaped her. There was no detail too small, no task too big, no dream too distant. Over the years, we came to realize that this sister of ours was the heartbeat of her family and her community. She lived her truth. She plowed ahead with an energy that was rare. She worked hard and played equally hard. She laughed from her belly, danced with abandon, and held her friends and family close to her heart. She had a way of turning even the most difficult situations into something to laugh about. She lived life with joy. Popsy's life shows us all that in the end, it is not the years in your life that count, but the life in your years. We loved our sister Popsy. Rest in peace, Popsy. You will no doubt be the brightest star in the heavens as you were here with us. Thank you. I'll hold it for you.
Former President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, dignitaries, friends, and family. I've known Popsy and Alfie for almost as many years as I've been in Kenya, and that's over 30 years. Chris was probably the first person I was introduced to, and he then introduced me to his family. I thank you for that, Chris. All of us here have known Popsy for a similar amount of time, all of us, and that's why we're on this stage together. We were all friends. We were all good friends. It wasn't a friendship that needed to be us being in her pocket or seeing each other every day. It was a friendship that when we saw each other, we loved each other, we spoke deeply to each other, and we laughed. That was our friendship. Popsy, as we know, was fully dedicated to looking after Alfie, Gigi, and Gina, and her entire family. She always fully participated in their lives, as we've heard this morning. And oh my, how proud she was of little Malaika, and again I'm repeating it. Every time we met, she showed us on her phone the updated pictures and videos. Thank you, Gina and Ty, for sending them. Popsy also loved her work, as you have heard. And together with Nilima and Fred, they would burn the midnight oil. If I feel after my 9 o'clock sleep, to try and remember to wake up to call her, because she was always coming home late, and that was the time we could catch up. But as we've heard, she ran a successful business. They all did. You will also have heard many times this week, she was always busy, meticulously organizing something and equally preparing for both social and work events. For those beautiful lunches and dinners she prepared for us all, Popsy would organize the menus well in advance. She would be talking to us about these menus, and we would be saying, okay. She would be making arrangements with suppliers, then organize everyone else who could offer an attempt to participate at Popsy's level. She usually asked me to bring the ice cream or a basic salad, and I accepted that very happily. She also hosted our last Christmas together, now it seems. So we formed a girls' group almost over 25 years ago, which started with Popsy, Sheila, and Michelle, and I. We would frequently meet for lunch and drinks. Thereafter, Kathy, Deepa, Desta, Hebreth, Betty, we all came into the group. And it was a great group. We have always been together as friends, as sisters who share and care for each other. And we all individually meet each other, all of us. It's not just that we needed to be in groups. We all would call Pops and say, let's meet. We would call Michelle, let's meet. Because we were all close and we are all close. That's our sisterhood. Recently, our dear friend and mother figure, Mrs. Mully, joined us for lunch at Michelle's house. And that was such a lovely time together. Thank you, Mrs. Mully. And just the other day, we sampled a new restaurant, for us anyway, followed by a luscious, rich chocolate cake by the other cake maker in our group, Deepa. Talking of scrumptious cakes, of course, Popsy was the queen, as we've all heard. I baked Kome, my son's first birthday cake, and no one was really impressed. So from that year on, Popsy was Kome's official birthday cake maker. She would always be reminding me that the cake would be made, and knowing Kome's favorite cake is lemon cake, of course, that is what she often made. Sorry, Kome, it's back to me. But we were, of course, not only friends of Popsy, someone like Popsy, you know, was popular and significant in so many other lives. If I were to ask the ladies to come up, there would be half this church. She was significant in all of our lives. And seeing everyone here today definitely shows us that. Her natural caring nature, I know, has touched and impacted so many of her friends here today. Over the years, Popsy and I would meet for impromptu lunches, and during these times, we would truly enjoy each other's company. And as I said, it would be with our deep thoughts and our fun. We would laugh a lot, sometimes cry. Popsy was not a real crier. I was, so it goes to me. But we also had a few very memorable trips, one being to South Africa in 2001, when we both had recently moved into our respective homes. We went with our late Freddie and Gigi, and we had a blast. So many stories came from that trip, mostly about Freddie and Gigi, who didn't have as much fun as Popsy and I share in a room. But some of the things you see in our homes came from that trip. More recently, I had the honor of joining Popsy to go to Gina and Ty's wedding in Connecticut, which happens to be the 19th of May, 2019. And also Gigi's master's graduation in Boston. This being my first time in the US, Popsy truly showed me her business skills. And I was a real tourist. It was absolutely wonderful. This year we celebrated my 60th birthday in Kilifi with Desta, Kathy, Betty, and of course, Popsy. And we had an absolute blast. I truly mean it. We laughed, we teased, we ate, we drank, and we danced. Popsy even danced with Desta's dad. 93? Yep, who's 93 years old. Throughout the time, Popsy and I never had a disagreement. We never fought. I'm not sure why, but we didn't. We just always seemed to blend with each other. When we shared rooms, we accommodated the bathrooms, everything. We just shared. Now, I might say, how? Because we know, as everybody has said, Popsy was tough. She took no prisoners. She was strong-headed, and she stood her ground. But she was also accommodating. And her love for people around her made her see reason. She wasn't perfect. None of us are, though. But Popsy's commitment to her family, her friends, her work truly made her a special person. Popsy was kind, generous, and these words, I asked some of her friends to tell me what they thought about her, and all of these are words that came out. Kind, generous, stubborn, warm, beautiful, smart, magnificent, gracious, full of life, vibrant, and I can go on. We will so very much miss you, Popsy, our dear friend and sister. But we also know that you are resting in peace. And we are so grateful that you were in our lives. We are here today for Popsy, and we know she has been and will certainly be here with us, looking after us. Alfie, I thank you so much for calling me on Sunday so I could spend some time with my friend, with Chris and Kathy. We were so blessed. We didn't know. But I thank you so much for calling us on that day, and we were able to talk to her and enjoy her company. I could go on, but certainly I've reached the end, and I will leave it for Kathy to continue. Thank you.
We're running out of time, and mine is very short. Let me be honest, Popsy and I were complete opposites. She was always well-dressed, perfect hair, nails, makeup. I, on the other hand, casual and always unkempt. Popsy, smiling, socializing, chatting, me, frowning, and very much a loner. I could go on and on. But it was just the two of us. We were married to the Gitonga brothers. That meant that we had to get along. Mrs. Mully said to me on Tuesday in true Guyanese style, and I hope you could understand this, she said, "Is you one now? You're up on your own, girl. You have to keep up the work with this family." But the sad reality is it will never be the same. Over the years, I've been in Kenya. Popsy hosted and organized tours from my family and friends. I would tell them, I have a sister-in-law who does tours, but she deals with high-end clients, so you might not be able to afford her. But Popsy worked with everyone's budget and made their trips memorable. I have received many messages of support from them, and the words ring out. She was so friendly and welcoming, beautiful person inside out, so gracious, kind and helpful in our planning, wonderful to work with, a live wire, and an engaging personality. Thank you, Popsy, and to the team of Naked Wilderness. Gigi and Gina, we are here for you. May she rest in peace. Thanks.
Thank you, ladies. Popsy was truly blessed to have I think Altia put it down in a word, just one word, a sisterhood. The Honorable Kabando wa Kabando.
My brother, Afred Gitonga, and all the Gitongas, Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, First Lady, Margaret Kenyatta, the priests, and all those who have come to celebrate Popsi. Hamjambo. I'll hold. So. Let me make a few remarks. Of about that 4 years that I've been in Nairobi, I've known the Gitongas for about 22 years. So that comprises about 65% of my life in Nairobi. Of Forbes Gitonga, the invisible power. We called her sister, dear wife, loving mom,